So this is how we know we Israelites real quick before y'all go.
All right.
Into Egypt again. That's good. With ships. The Bible says, for disobedience, Moses told our ancestors way back in the wilderness. He said, look, if you break my commandments, I'm going to send you into slavery on ships.
Yes, he did say that. What's your point?
Us. Right. When did the white man in Israel calling himself a Jew or Jewish, when he go through this? Yep. So how he the Jew? Because the Bible says this is going to happen to the Jews. I don't know white folks in there. Exactly. Right. So we these people that is talking about in this book, bro.
I see now. So because you don't know anywhere in history where the Jews actually went back into Egypt on slave ships, somehow that proves your point. Okay, so now it's time for a quick history lesson. So Emil Scherer, a German theologian and historian, writes in his work titled A History of the Jewish People in the Time of Jesus Christ, says, innumerable was the multitude of those who were sold away as slaves at the annual market at Terebinth in Hebron, Palestine. They were offered for sale in such numbers that a Jewish slave was of no more value than a horse. What could not be disposed of there was brought to Gaza and there sold or sent to Egypt, on the way to which many died of hunger or of shipwreck. If they died of shipwreck, then that simply means that they went back to Egypt where? On boats, ships. Jewish historian Josephus, writing about after the fall of the Second Temple, he says, because the soldiers were now growing weary of bloodshed and survivors appeared constantly, Caesar orders to kill only those who offered armed resistance and to take alive all the rest. The troops, in addition to those covered by their orders, slaughtered the aged and infirm. People to their prime who might be useful, they herded them into the temple area and shut up in the court of the women. Caesar appointed one of his freedmen as their guard, his friend Fronto, to decide the fate appropriate to each. All those who had taken part in sedition and brigandage, they informed against one another. He executed. He picked out the tallest and handsomest of the lot and reserved them for the triumph of the rest. Those who were over 17 he put in chains and sent to hard labor in Egypt, while great numbers were presented by Titus to the provinces to perish in the theaters by sword or by wild beasts. Those under 17 were sold. Munter, a Roman historian, speaks about the fall of Beitar, or after the fall of Beitar. He writes, now that Beitar had been captured, everything came under human control, while Palestine, Judah, was reduced to a desolate mound. Captives were sold into slavery in numbers too great to count. First, they were brought to the grand annual market at Terebinth Elo tree in Hebron, or in the words of Hieronymus, to the tent of Ohilio of Abraham near Hebron. Each slave sold for the price of a horse. Those captives who were not sold there were brought to the marketplace in Gaza, which is Gaza, which because of the great multitudes of slaves were sold there, was called Hadrian's marketplace. And those who were still not sold there were herded into ships and were taken to Egypt. Herded into ships and taken to Egypt. Many died in transit, whether by starvation or by shipwreck, while many also were killed by cruel masters. If you don't believe me, look up the source. This is Munter, Primordia, ECCL Africane, page 85. All right, so this idea that the Jews never went back into Egypt on ships is completely false and disproven by history, disproven by historians. If you don't believe me, I've already showed you the sources. Look it up on your own. God bless. Once again, IUIC, you are incorrect.